This episode is sponsored by Flawless, a Texas-based natural skincare line for all skin types started by a friend of mine from undergrad, Bianca. After we graduated from university, Bianca had broken out with cystic acne, dry, peeling, irritated skin, and had scabs and scars all over her face. She tried different skincare methods and skincare lines for about 3.5 years with no success. That's when she remembered the idea of Flawless that God gave her almost 4 years prior, and she started making her own natural soaps. The name Flawless came from the Bible verse Song of Solomon, chapter 4, verse 7, which says, "You are altogether beautiful, my love. There is no flaw in you." I started using Flawless because I wanted to clear my face as I saw it had for Bianca. And let me tell you, this has done the trick. What I like about these products is that everything is handcrafted. Her soaps are made in small batches to ensure the highest level of quality, and they're free of parabens, phthalates, and sodium lauryl sulfate. They're also slowly cured using the traditional cold process method, and they use oils, milks, purees, and moisturizing butters to make your skin look and feel flawless. If you're looking for skincare products that are made with care using ingredients you trust, go to www.flawlessnaturalsoaps.com and use my referral code FIRSTBASO to get 10% off all purchases over $10. Choose Flawless and be reminded just how beautiful you are in the eyes of God. You're listening to First Baso. Hello and welcome to First Baso, a show where we learn together how to take that first baso toward becoming the best versions of ourselves. My name is Candace Olushala, and today's special guest, I actually met her on Clubhouse, and I keep telling you guys, Clubhouse is where it's at. If you're not on Clubhouse, we need to fix this situation ASAP. Text me, I'll send you an invite. Okay, so guys, I met her on Clubhouse. She's super fun. She is actually a children's pastor in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and she is a PG County, Maryland girl living in a Minnesota world right now. She loves French fries, for all you French fry people out there, and she has a soft spot for chocolate chip cookies. Yes, girl. Also, she is known as the Sister Pastor, and she is dedicated to this nickname for her podcast, The Sister Pastor Speaks. So please, without further ado, welcome my fellow podcaster and Clubhouser, Darnisha Thomas. Hey, girl, how you doing?
Hey, girl. Hey,
Candace. So nice having you on here. I'm so excited. I always love talking to other podcasters because y'all understand what this hustle is about. So nice to connect with a fellow podcaster in that way. Please tell me how you've been. How's it been during the pandemic for you? Did you get vaccinated? Are you trying to stay away from all the people breathing in these streets? Where are you? What is happening in your life in Minneapolis?
Well, thank you so much for asking, Candace, because honestly, yes, I took the vax because, we talk about this hot girl summer, but in order for us to have a hot girl summer, we got to have a vax girl summer.
Hey.
So I had to take the bullet and I said, you know what? Let me get in on this hot girl summer tip, and I'm going to get in on this Pfizer. So I'm going to holla at Pfizer. So I holla at them twice. Now I'm hearing that we're going to most likely get a booster. Well, we can't win, but nevertheless, it actually felt like, and I'm afraid of needles. I have this huge fear of needles, like really, and especially because I have my little tiny arms, and I'm just like, listen, I always have to tell the nurse, go easy on my arm. I'm little, don't hit the bone. We're fighting. So
don't hit the bone. I can't.
But actually, so far, I can say this year has been far better than last year. If you would have asked me last year around this time, I would have been frantic. You would have seen me wiped out, drained, because we had George Floyd happen last year in Minneapolis.
Man, and yes.
Last year, it was just, I think this time period, I was going through it. like tending to my church, being a pastor, at the same time trying to make sense of something that was senseless in our country. Wow. And it was like, I could say that even though things are not fully resolved, but we're on to a good step, like that paso, that first paso. And I'm just grateful for, like, it just, the things that we take for granted. Like, I'm about to celebrate my second year moving to Minnesota from Maryland. And it's like, and I'll talk more about it in this episode. And it was just literally, I said, I need to take a photo shoot. It has been 2 years since I got out of my comfort spot, and I just want to celebrate hope. I want to celebrate new beginnings. A lot of stuff is brewing up now. Like, God was just winking at me. So
okay.
Like the little guy. Well, God, so you can do that, God. All right. So yeah, it's been going pretty good. I mean, I've had my moments of anxiety, but nevertheless, I'm grateful for my friends and my family, just for seeing me through and for understanding and holding space for me during this time period. So yeah, right now I'm doing good.
Good. That's fantastic. And I already told you, but your look is a vibe right now. Like, I love it. Goals, y'all. Goals. I'm just saying, she looking cute today. So I just had to put her on for a second there. So, what? Man, well, first off, before I even ask you your first basso, I just want to say that, people are praying for you guys in Minneapolis. I just feel like you guys have gone through the ringer and it just is back to back to back. Like, you guys aren't coming up for air long enough to even celebrate one thing. It's just like more keeps coming. So know that you guys are definitely in our thoughts and prayers. I just literally, the George Floyd incident is what launched my podcast. Like, that's when I was like, it is time. I'm ready. Like, this is it. So, I'm thankful for the verdict that came out of that, but there's still so much more. There's still so much. But that was literally a ripple in the ocean of all things justice to come. And it's heartbreaking. It's bittersweet, but that window of hope is there. So definitely just thinking about you guys over there, truly and honestly. So
thank you. We need it, because it's just like, we can't, it's like we try to get some air, and then it's like, boom, things happen. Like, we have Dante. Now we're hearing about shootings that are taking place now, and it's like,
when does it stop?
We can't win. So thank you guys for your prayers, because it has definitely sustained us. Like, those of us who are in the front lines, whether we're doing boots on the ground or whether we got our pumps on the pulpits, like, it's a lot. But nevertheless, we just gotta continue to apply pressure, continue to be prophetic. That's something I tell people, just to operate from the prophetic as well as the priestly. So
yes. Yeah. I love that. Absolutely. So please unfold your first basso experience for us. Are you in the middle of it? Did it already happen? Where are you now? Just unfold your story for us.
It's crazy, because it has been a lot of, like, there's a lot of first passos, and I gotta figure out, like, which first passo I want to talk about on this podcast, because we might need to have a whole season about the sister pastor's first passo, like in college or in grad school, or first ministry, second, like, relationships. It's just like, but I'm gonna spare y'all. I'm gonna spare y'all most of the details. I guess I could say, like, the most monumental passo, it's been me moving to Minnesota.
The big move.
It was a big move, because one, I'm from PG County, Maryland, or I'm from Maryland. So, and I have my Maryland mask, like, when I stopped at BWI, and I'm like, I got to get a Maryland flag, because that's when I really miss my Maryland flag. Like, Maryland has the most beautiful flag, like, ever. It's just,
it really does.
It, like, we like how many other countries, like states, do like in the U.S. have you ever seen them rocking their flag as like on a T-shirt or a pair of shorts or socks? No one. But what I could say was my first paso was moving to Minnesota. And it was during that time period that um, I was told, and I don't want to disclose, like, because it's still a little bit fresh. It's like 2 years, but I know I want to talk about it because I know a lot of people have gone through similar challenges, whether even if they're not pastors, but whether you're working um, in your field, like you're in your field of your dreams, and you're like, hey, I'm in a good place now, and then things happen out of nowhere. It's like, boom. I didn't think that I would be in Minnesota 2 years ago, let alone, especially in January. I was asked, like, why do you believe that you were called to be a pastor? And then the person demanded evidence. And basically along the lines, they were telling me that they didn't see any calling in me, that I didn't meet their expectations. They said a lot of crazy stuff. And
Are you allowed to tell somebody that? I don't see that you're called. How do you,
it
is
was like,
that, how do you do that?
I don't see where you shine or anything like that. You need to be in a two-person church district, because it was four of us in the church, but four pastors, like in my first assignment. But and then so I'm thinking, okay, my days are numbered here. And I literally, like, that was January, February 6th. And I remember that because I was fasting from something. There was a ministry that had to close down. And I decided that I was going to take that time to fast with my leaders, my youth leaders, that day. So we could figure out what the next step is. So that day, went to the office. Then I'm being told, well, this church is looking for pastors. And I'm telling you this because you need to start looking outside of this particular conference. And then those who are not familiar with the Adventist, so the Adventist setup organizations, so we have conferences, which consist of churches, Adventist churches. So you have the church, then you have the conference, then you have the union, and then you have divisions, and then you have the whole general conference. So given that there was the conference, in other words, Darnisha had to go outside the conference, which would most likely be outside of Maryland. And I told my dad about it. I was afraid to tell my dad about it because my dad, he's an African-American, Southern, man of no nonsense. He was, military, U.S. Army. He used to work as a correctional officer. So it was like no nonsense. Girl, yes. Like going to church school with like deeply creased pants.
Oh, I believe it. I believe it and I see it.
And then you could just and then after you take off your pants, that joint is still standing.
Yes.
That joint is still standing.
The starch is in place. Yeah. It is set.
That was that was my dad's baby. Like,
yeah,
being in the Lord, starch. So for those who are military kiddos, I feel your pain, especially after they retire. So, but needless to say, like, I told my dad about it, and my dad was like, "Well, whatever happens, know that you have a home. Don't worry about where to live." And it was just like, it was harsh. It was hard. So that's when I started. I was like, I don't know where to look. I don't know what to do. Like, I have friends, some people call this person, call that person. I've reached out to mentors, people that have been an impact in my life. And, they prayed me through and they told me some things. And they said, hey, just start sending your resume wherever. And yeah, that was something else. So I reached out to one of my mentors, and she's like, well, Minnesota's been looking for a children's pastor for a minute. And for me, I wasn't in my ministry of intent. So that was, to be fair, in the situation where I was in, I was not in my ministry of intent. I was being someone that I wasn't. I know that it's a threefold situation. yeah, so I was not in my ministry of intent. And I said, I need to get back to children's ministries because that's my baby. So then I hear about Minnesota and like, who lives out in Minnesota? I mean, I know we got the Vikings.
There are people there?
There are people
What?
there. I was like, there's the Vikings, there's the Timberwolves, there's the Twins. What I know about Minnesota, like I was there like in 2015 for a youth retreat, but I said I would never be caught dead living among the land of the living called Minnesota. And I was like, are there even any Black people that live there?
Good question.
So it was just like my whole thought process. And I said, fine, I'm just going to send my resume. I didn't even edit or anything. I just updated like what I was doing right now. I was like, I'm not even going to, what you see, what you about to get. So right. That's what went down. It was just what you see is what you're going to get. And I even prayed and asked God, I said, God, if I don't get picked up by this conference, I will be okay. I'm Gucci, I'm fine. And yeah, needless to say, it was just during that time period, there was a lot of stuff that added up, a lot of things that happened. So yeah, with the whole thing, okay, my days are officially numbered. And then I was going to Roatan, Honduras, which is a Bay Island of Honduras called Roatan. So I went there because my previous conference, they were sending us there to preach. And I was like, maybe I should cancel this trip since I'm not going to be a part of this conference anymore. I've already canceled last year's trip to Cuba, but how about this year? And I was excited about this year because Roatan is bilingual, so English, Spanish. I know Spanish, but I don't know it too much. I don't know it all about it. I'm not fully fluent. I'm getting there. It's, paso y paso y paso. That's like, hey. I'm taking it one day at a time, one step at a time. Right. That's right. And literally it was just, they were going to send me to a church where I wouldn't need a translator. So it would be an English speaking church. The first church I went to, I had to be moved. This is before I was in Roatan, before I stepped foot. So this was before they had to move me because the pastor wasn't really too fond about women occupying his pulpit. So yes, girl. Well, then the second part happened. They moved me, but I would have to take a boat. I would go to a dock and I would take a boat to and from that church just to get to church in time. So I'm like, okay, because I'm gonna have to get some galoshes. I might have to get a flotation device. So in case this thing goes downhill, let me Ziploc my phone, safeguard my equipment, hoping that they have equipment there. But then one of our teammates had to bow out because there was a crisis that happened at his church that he had to attend to. So instead of sending me to his church, they collaborate. So they pulled me out from that church and they send me to the last church, which is Punta Gorda, which I love that location, actually. It's such a beautiful place. Punta Gorda Church, but Darnisha would need a translator. Something that I was trying to avoid. I preached in Cuba before. It is exhausting, as rewarding as it is. It's exhausting because I have to say something, the person has to say something again. So it's like if I do a 1 hour presentation and they do a 1 hour translation, that's 2 hours. Mm-hmm. I was like, Lord, no. So they placed me there and I was like, it's okay. I'm just here for the experience. They got me there and little did I know, I realized why I was placed there. There was people that looked like us. For the most part of the church. And I felt like they were my family. And then some of them actually spoke English. And I had a really solid translator named Cornelia. And we talked and I was like, hey, so do y'all have Black History Month here? She said, oh, for the Saints? Yeah. She said, well, we do, but it's more It's not. It's more. It's in April, but it's the day of the Garifuna, because there's Garifuna people that came from St. Vincent and they came to Punta Gorda to settle, and it was actually pretty. I was like, I like this a lot. So we it was just a beautiful connection, and even while I was preaching, and it was just and mind you, I hadn't preached in a long time because in my first assignment, I only had one sermon to my name. And but nevertheless, I was preaching, and because I asked God to give me zeal, and it was from that God revealed to me, like, I got you. You saw how, like, how everything this like that did not catch me by surprise. And even though, like, yeah, I need a translator, but there were people that knew English, and they were even like helping the translator to come up with the word that I was saying. And it was actually such a beautiful moment. Like, I had my conference leader seeing me at work, and they'd never seen me preach before. And I was in my previous district for 2 years. 2 years, one sermon to my name. And here I am, I'm preaching like 20 plus sermons during that time period. And it was from that experience that I realized that God got me, and that wherever I needed to go, it would be the right place. So that's how I became confident about Minnesota. Also, because in my hotel room, we had like my girl Larona and I, we took turns killing lizards. Sorry for those who are sensitive to wildlife, but it was horrible. I realized I cannot live in a land of lizards. So I said, I will take the snow over lizards, over hurricanes, over snakes. So that was my confidence. So yeah, I went through the whole Minnesota thing. I went through the interviews and through the interview process, and I felt at peace. And that's when I knew this could be the next move. This is my leap of faith. I went to Andrews University in Michigan. That was my leap of faith. But this time around, I'm going by myself. I'm doing this on my own. Like, I have my own apartment to myself, single, like, young, Black. But nevertheless, like, God worked everything out, like that first step. And it was hard because that means I had to leave behind my family. I was staying with my family in Maryland. I had to leave my brother. I had to leave my parents. I had to leave my friends, like, that I went to high school with, I went to elementary school with, I went to church with. And nevertheless, that was, it was a bold move on my end. It was a really bold move, but I can say 2 years now, I don't regret it. It was rough and it was hard. And even the circumstances that happened, like months before January 2019, I sensed something was going to happen. And I said, God, if I had to leave this church for the sake of growth, so be it. Because I was not growing. I was trapped in a box, in a mold that was not made for me in the first place. So yes, Minnesota happened. I found out Sounds of Blackness came up from the Twin Cities. So I'm like, okay, yay, Black people. Listen, guys, I love everybody, but there's something about being with people that look like you where you can feel a sense of comfort. That's what matters. Like, it hits different. It feels like I'm not alone. And I could figure out where I can get my hair done, or I could figure out, like, where can I get my natural hair products.
That's important, y'all. Y'all don't know. That's a crucial question that Black people need to know when they move anywhere. Okay, so
where do you go to get your hair done? Where do you go?
Work hard for these locks. Okay,
it's rough. You can't trust anybody. Not even, like, there's certain Black people that you don't trust to touch your hair.
Facts.
Like, the whole not all skin folk are kin folk. It's true.
Facts upon facts.
I'm a witness. I got emotional battle scars to prove it. Even my edges, maybe, but it's a good relocation. Like, I mean, there's a lot. Despite, even though I went through an unrest uprising, I think I'm in a good place right now.
Wow, that is a wild story, and I love how, like, your experience in Honduras and, being able to preach there really affected your decision too. And I'm kind of curious, how do you feel currently living in Minneapolis? Do you feel like you've hit a feeling like you're home even after the pandemic? Because I don't know if it was me having made that move and then hit the pandemic, I feel like I would have been jolted again.
Mm-hmm.
Even as exciting and at peace as I would have been moving initially, that would have really thrown off my vibe, I think, if I hadn't felt felt like I had at least gotten a groove in that first year.
Mm-hmm.
So how was that process in leaving your forever home and going to Minneapolis and then hitting this pandemic as a children's pastor? Like, how did that even affect not just you personally, but how did it affect your ministry to continue ministering to the children? There's something that was so different for everybody.
Yeah, that's a really good question. I could say when the pandemic hit, I'm like, the single life is for birds. Living
Girl,
alone is for birds.
she's speaking to me too. Lord.
This is for the birds, guys. Like, I feel like most of us single people, unless you really hate people, I'm sure we are getting out of this pandemic and we're realizing we can't do this anymore.
No.
It's like I even told God this year, I said, God, I'm getting a little tired. I might need you to, I think I'm ready. I think I'm ready. Like I need a cuddle buddy because
Exactly.
last year, actually, I was dating and then I went through a breakup.
You too?
I
Me
went through,
too.
yes, girl. I went through a whole breakup. Like, and the thing was just, it was painful because I'm going to try and say it in a nice way and
Yes.
try to be as pastoral. But this individual decided to use the quarantine as a way to distance himself from me.
Oh.
Yeah. So
Okay.
we didn't see each other in person until the shutdown. Like before, like I guess the last time we saw each other, the next day there was a shutdown.
Oh. Oh.
There was a shutdown. They were not keeping that same energy that they had when we first dated or anything like that. And I had to call this dude and then only for him, like, finally to pry it out from him to say, hey, like, what's going on? And then he's like, oh, well, I've lost interest. And for me, I'm like, what happened? So I was like, maybe we need to take a break. We need to take a break. So not break up, but let's take a break. And then eventually we'll reconvene. So during the break, I'm praying, I'm fasting, I'm praying, connecting with him. I'm close with the fam. I was close with I loved his family here. And I remembered this was just before George Floyd. And I texted him something like a song, like saying, I'm not going to give up. And it's all this nice song. And I told him, like, hey, I'm not giving up on us. He doesn't respond. He leaves me on red.
Oh.
He leaves me on red. So, and of course, he leaves me on red. So George Floyd happened. So, of course, I'm like, you know what? Bump him. Let me focus on my mission.
Mm.
And then even during that time period, like one of my girls sent me a message like, hey, come by my house, I'm cooking. And we went to college together and I sat and I mentioned the person's name. She said, you can do much better than him.
Oh.
And it was crazy because even from that until that day, I was fasting and I was praying for the relationship.
Mm.
And it wasn't when she gave me some intel. When I got home, I felt peace. I could
Yeah.
accept, and I realized God was looking out for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm at a good, like, I realized. And the funny part was, since a couple of us from our denomination, the Adventist move like church, a couple of us young adults, we did a march and we went by the George Floyd Square, and he was there,
Oh.
acting like nothing happened.
Oh.
And I
Okay.
was just like, so you don't know how to text anymore? Your thumbs go
Right.
numb? Did your thumbs get
Right.
covered? Like,
Mm-hmm.
what's up with that? So it took time, and I had to process because I hadn't been in a relationship in a long time, like since seminary, when I was in seminary, and I was dating somebody from college. But with this one, and I'm giving this person a chance, and I was getting invested in this relationship, and this happened, and I was mad at God. I was mad at myself. So I had to like give myself permission to grieve and to forgive myself and to show myself compassion and say, this wasn't your fault.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he had his thing that he had to worry about.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, and I felt like, and I was closer to him because we went to school together once upon a time, and he introduced me to Minnesota.
Mm.
Like, he introduced me to
Wow.
Minnesota. So, but even despite that, God provided me with a stronger support system. And even now, like just yesterday, we had a Sabbath walk. Well, not us, like the dude, but I had a Sabbath walk with a couple of young adults. And we just walked around, and I played, and I got to meet another sister. Like, hey girl, you got me missing my twist out. Like, it's just like, I love natural hair and I miss natural hair. Well, even though I got my crochet braids, but yeah, we chatted, we talked, and we connected. There was a lot of stuff that we connected. And just like being Black and being in Minnesota, and with her like being in Minnesota all her life, it was just like we all connected. And it was just like a group of us Blacks that were like, yeah, we can do better. We can do better. But we're gonna enjoy each other's company. We're gonna celebrate Black joy, Black girl magic, Black boy joy, Black man magic. Like, we're just gonna enjoy it. So
Yeah.
that was it's helpful. But what I can say was like, yeah, I have my moments where I'm like, I feel at home, but I don't feel at home.
Mm-hmm.
And especially like, there's no Krispy Kreme here, so that's one struggle. But I feel at home because I'm 5 minutes from a Target.
Right.
So I'm like, this is the perks of being in the headquarters of Target in Minnesota, is Target, like having Target next to me, and just rebuilding community. The church that I'm in, I love them. They love on me, and yeah, we have a little bit of disagreements here and there, intense moments, but I'm gonna love you through it. I'm gonna love them through it. So they love me through it. I know they sometimes they can't handle this, this Black girl magic sometimes, but I just like bringing energy and hope and positivity, but at the same time, accountability. For what's happening. And sometimes it's like, we got to be challenged to get out of our comfort zone and to listen to conversations that are not easy to listen to. And this actually, the George Floyd thing has caused us to invest in those conversations for that reason.
Yeah. Wow. And like, how did you, it's like 2020's happened, George Floyd is happening, you've had this breakup, you're not home, you're building this community. How did you channel everything that you were thinking and feeling personally into the kids?
That's a great question. Actually, it was the kids that actually saved my life during this whole pandemic,
Mm,
because these kids, like our kids, are becoming resilient, and they don't ask to be resilient. These kids have definitely, like, I think after George Floyd and I was getting through like every crazy thing, and then only for me to now, like, Vacation Bible School happens. That actually brought me back, like, to a balance. That actually saved my life. But having Vacation Bible School and connecting and seeing my kids, and to see that, like, kids from all corners, from every walk of life, um, like being virtually, because we weren't having in person because,
you're right.
Rona,
The
Rona.
Rona.
But these kids, they come on every week, to
Mm,
connect, and that's what I'm here for. And they give me hope. They keep me going, and it's we learn a lot from kids. We learn so much from children, and I realized that God has taught me that, I gotta be my best self. I gotta take care of myself and be good to myself in order for me to be good to my kids. That I
mm.
call my kids. Like, I call all of these kids my kids. And we celebrated birthdays by doing drive-through parades. We celebrate a lot of a lot of stuff, to say the least. So I'm eternal grateful for that.
Mm, I love that. So, I guess for you and your first Basso experience, where are you at now? And how are you feeling about being in Minneapolis now versus when you first moved there?
Well, as far as my first step, I'm proud of myself, because even though last year was crazy, um, I've dealt with people that disagreed with my stance on social justice, but it has taught me about myself.
Mm,
It taught me that though I'm resilient, and I know us Black ladies, we're tired of hearing that we're resilient. We have no choice. We just, we step our game. We just step up to the plate, put on our big girl panties and truck on.
yep.
And but that I've learned so much, that I'm someone that I could speak my truth to power, and that's what I did last year. Like, even when I spoke out, I scared the mess out of myself.
Mm,
And sometimes you gotta do things that will scare you. Sometimes you gotta dream dreams that will scare you. And it's not like dreams like, oh my gosh, we're going to fail. It's like dreams like, God, are you sure this is what's going to happen? Like, are you sure that this is what you're calling me to do? But Ephesians tells us, now to him who's able to do exceedingly abundantly above
oh,
all we
yes.
ask or think, according to the power at work within us. And that's something
Mm-hmm.
that kept me going. And I have in my prayer corner, that I normally go to from time to time. Just sometimes I just sit there. Sometimes I cry, and sometimes I have tea time with God and have my little scripture readings and stuff. But I could say I know I'm right where I belong.
Mm,
I know I belong here, and it doesn't matter what people say, but I know I'm here to stay. Uh, I have community that's been keeping me going, but for me, I know I'm in a good place. I'm at peace with where I am. I'm growing. I'm thriving. Doors have opened for me, not just only ministry wise, but personal wise. And, there's even some romantic, some possibilities, some potential there. And that, like, literally, like when God told Joel in chapter 2 that he'll restore the years that the locust has taken, I feel like this is what God is doing right now for me.
mm,
It's like
yeah.
he's restoring everything that was taken from me.
Mm-hmm.
And it just shows that God restores.
Yep.
And from that, I'm encouraging myself that God's going to see me through in these next few battles, these next few passos that I'll have to take. My next first passo, because every passo is considered to be a first step. Like,
Mm-hmm.
believe it or not. But I'm grateful where I am right now.
I love that. I love that. So, what for you in your first Basso experience, what would you want people who might be in that predicament of maybe feeling like I'm not really living out my purpose, but in order for me to do so, I might have to make a big decision that I might not have been planning for.
Mhm.
How would you speak to someone in a similar position like that?
Well, I would say, the pastor in me would say, be prayerful.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I think also the person would say, weigh out your options. Weigh out your options and figure out what if. And then when you have the what ifs on both sides, just figure out which which one are you willing to risk the most. It's like some people they say pick your poison.
Hmm.
Like pick your poison, whatever the outcome is. And for me, moving to Minnesota, I mean, even though I had my family in Maryland, and my dad say I don't have to worry about where to live if I was unemployed. I could choose that comfort of being with family and of having that cushion or doing what I'm called to do and being away from family like on the other end of the US of the country. And I chose the latter. And it's not easy. It's Lord, it still isn't because I mean like especially like grocery shopping is different because I don't have my little brother to help me with my groceries anymore. But
Mm-hmm.
I got a wagon. So just learning to adjust. And plus what helped me tremendously is therapy. Therapy. I have gone through at least 3 therapists um, throughout 2020 before
Mm-hmm.
I found the one that was suitable for me at this time period. She's amazing. She's solid. Um, and it's someone that's culturally competent because you want someone who's culturally competent that understands the trauma that's going through as people of color and even others. Like whether you're of the LGBTQ plus community, you want to find someone that's competent that understands the plight that you're going through. Um, Black, Indigenous people of color. And for me, it was just, I was able to find this therapist and she has helped me through. And she has even challenged me to fully show up
Mm-hmm.
as a Black woman. And that was something that I was struggling with from my previous. And I said, never again. I'm not going to betray my Blackness. I'm not going to betray who I am as a pastor in a multicultural church. And what they see is what they're going to get. And that's what they have. What they see is what they're
Mm-hmm.
going to get. So you just stay true to yourself. Um, Whatever that next step is, even in relationships. I was doing speed dating during this time period because virtual speed dating. And I met some really great guys. Even though we weren't a fit for relationships for like a romantic, but I still have I've met new friends. So
Mm-hmm.
it's just thinking ahead, think of like, would I regret um not taking this first boss up, not taking this first step? That's something that I keep saying, and it's like YOLO. Sometimes there's a full circle, but you just gotta like say, hey, I'm gonna go for this thing. But nevertheless, go through that door, however that looks, and just be kind to yourself and compassionate for yourself and listen to yourself. And if this is where you need to go, take it. Even if you take a baby step towards it, take it
Mm-hmm.
anyways.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. Just, you know, like you said, if you were to have to make a decision that's not necessarily in your plan or like what you had envisioned, trying it out, at least you get to say you tried. And if it doesn't work out, you can go back to what you were doing. I mean, it's not like it's going to go away. So You know, there's options out there, even when it feels like there aren't, there are. And it's stretches us when we do things that make us a little uncomfortable. It grows us up and it fleshes us out. And a lot of times the lesson is worth learning, even if it wasn't one that we were expecting to have to learn. So, yeah, if it doesn't benefit you, it will benefit someone who needs to hear it from you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I like that a lot. I appreciate you sharing this story with us, Darnisha. It was really cool. And I wish you all the best in how you continue to live out there and how you'll continue to impact the community and your church family. And I hope the Lord send you your Boaz. Okay. We out here, single ladies out here praying for each other's Boazes. Okay. So
Girl, I got
hello,
you. You
somebody.
got me.
Thank you. Holy Ghost, you heard it here. Okay.
Uh-huh.
All right. Just got to speak that into existence.
Yes.
So, how can people find you on social media or email you, or how can people connect with you?
So right now I just have people just connect with me at the Sister Pastor Grams on Instagram. That's a great way for you to get a hold of me. Let's talk. I mean, if it's not ministry related, if you need a safe space just to vent out, like, like your journal, I'm glad to just open my virtual safe space for you to just say, hey, this is what's happening right now. And then, of course, follow me on Clubhouse.
Yes.
Clubhouse.
Yes. Come into the Clubhouse, all ye people.
Go find some good so there's a lot of good rooms. Like, I mean, Candace, like sitting into the rooms that you're in, and then Kevin has his own little
Yeah.
It's such a beautiful
Yeah.
Anyway, like whatever you need, Clubhouse is there. Like, so find me on Clubhouse. I normally just sit in to listen and to support, and just being fed. This is my feeding season right now. So, and eventually then of course I'll start, I'll make my own space, but yeah, just connect with me on here, IG and Clubhouse.
Nice. Awesome. Yes. Please find her on IG and on Clubhouse. You can find me on both platforms as well. And again, if you need an invite, I'm telling y'all, DM me, text me something. I will make sure when I have invites that I can send it to people. I promise. So thank you guys so much for listening to today's episode. And if there are any topics you want covered in the future, anything that you're curious about, any questions you have that you want me to answer, any guests that you want me to try to bring on here, let me know. DM me. Text me. I'm at First Basso on all socials, and my number is 859-800-3396. Please text me. I will respond. I promise. Even if it takes me a little bit, I will get to each message. I'm pretty good at that. So if you want to continue to support, you can become a patron, or you can donate in different ways. You can donate through Anchor. But if you go to www.firstbasso.com, there's a list of ways that you can support. And we're going to be revamping the website. So look out for some rebranding coming up in the next few weeks to months. I'm really excited about that. And it's all because of you guys' support that I'm starting to grow my business. So pray for me. I'm excited. So super excited for that. And you guys will definitely be a part of that journey. I'll let you guys in on those things. And honestly, the best way to support is to listen, subscribe, rate, share, tag me on social when you're listening to it, things about the podcast that you're really enjoying, what you shared with other people and what they like about it. I love seeing those posts. I love hearing from you guys. I love the DMs. I love just comments on my post in general. And it's really, truly encouraging. So I thank you guys so much for being on this journey with me for almost a year now. So wild, but it's definitely been a ride. It's been my own first Basso. So I really appreciate going on this journey with you guys. And honestly, stay safe. Please, if you I know the whole controversy with mask, no mask. Just protect yourself, okay? And protect the people around you. That's all I have to say about that. Don't go breathing on people that don't want to be breathed on, okay?
Well,
Hello, somebody. So, you guys take care. Love you guys so much. Darnisha, we will talk. Thank you so much. I will see you in the clubhouse.
yes.
And we will talk soon, girl. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.